Welcome back to the Dim Some Days podcast. I am Connor.
I'm Amanda.
And welcome back to our show. Today we are not in the car. This is the first episode we haven't done in the car.
And we're not eating food.
And we don't have food also. It's kind of more of a life update, like what's going on with Connor and Amanda kind of episode.
This is also not my usual attire for Dim Some Days podcast.
It's their usual attire. Oh, your ears aren't. Well, why do you have those ears on, Amanda?
Because we went to Disney World. More specifically, Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. And so this whole podcast is kind of dedicated to like, what was the experience like during 2021 to fly to Orlando and go to Disney World. We also went to Universal and Harry Potter World. And
now we're sitting in my parents' guest bedroom, if you can't tell.
Yes. So not our normal place, but we still wanted to deliver the episode and kind of document what it was like for us. And if any of you watched our Instagram stories, we did kind of share already a little bit about what it was like because it was very different. Going to do two different parks, handle the whole current state of the world very, very differently. And we figured we'd share it with you because for us, it was like a big deal after we got vaccinated to...
First off, go see my parents,
yes,
who we haven't seen since my wedding. So this is very important that I get to see my family.
When was that? People don't know when that was.
Our wedding was March 2020. So it's been over a year and a couple months.
Yeah, it's been like 14 months now.
Yeah, so it's been nice to be able to like hug them, see them in person, hang out rather than through FaceTime. So this was our first time seeing them, and we figured while on the trip, let's go check what this hype is over Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, so we took a red-eye flight from Seattle to Orlando, and that was relatively easy. I feel pretty confident about flying at this point.
The airport's really nice because again, it like is really reinforced that you have to wear a mask. You have to wear it over your nose. Like it's very strict on the policies. Otherwise, you don't get on a plane or you get kicked off of a plane or whatever. So the airport's not too bad. We're lucky enough that we have access to the Alaska Lounge, so we go up there and just kind of hang out, grab some snacks, and relax before our flight. And on the flight it was nice. There was one kid. Oh man, we got the kid next to us who was crying and like kind of wailing throughout the whole plane. I felt bad.
But this story's not about that kid.
I said just saying that. I felt bad for the mom.
Throwing the kid under the bus.
No, I just felt bad for the mom. She's got to deal with that. So anyways, so then once we got off the plane, we headed to our hotel, which we stayed at the Swan and Dolphin Hotel, which is technically on property. It's not a Disney hotel, but it is on property. And we checked in. Hotel reservation system was down, so we couldn't get into our room.
This is at 7 in the morning also.
This is 7 in the morning, so we left our bags with bellhop. We changed into some gear, more specifically some Boba Fett gear, and with my Mickey ears, and we went off to the park, and we went and explored Hollywood Studios, which this was my first time. This was also his first time.
Yeah, we've done a bunch of trips now to Disney. This was the last park that we hadn't been to.
Yep.
And I'm glad we saved this one for last because now that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge land was open, we got to experience that whole side of the park.
Yeah, so we were there.
Well, before we got there, we had to reserve the ride.
So we landed at like 6 o'clock, 6:30. And in order to get on the Rise of Resistance ride, they've changed it now to appeal for like COVID procedures. And they made it a virtual queue. So there's only 2 times you can get in on this queue. It's 7 a.m. and it's 1 p.m. So you get on at 6:58 or you get on at 12:58. And then you have to keep hitting refresh to get into this virtual queue. And there was a couple behind us at Galaxy's Edge that said they were logged in 6:58, couldn't even get on, couldn't get a place in the queue. We were very lucky that our plane landed at 6:30. We were in the Uber when the virtual queue took off, and we were able to get a spot on Rise of the Resistance. So we were very excited to have a spot on the queue. But it was group 27, and it goes from 1 to 158 or something like that. So we were very quickly like, oh, okay, we got to get there early to get our spot in order to maximize it.
Yep, so we got to the hotel. All that went smoothly. We walked to the park. The park actually opened up early, which was interesting.
Yeah, it was very nice.
We were through the gate before their opening time at 9 o'clock, and we went straight to Galaxy's Edge, which is in like the back of Hollywood Studios. And we knew at that point that we just had to wait on the app to be like, now your queue time is available for that ride. So we went to Smuggler's Run, which was really cool because you walk back and that's like right next to the big Millennium Falcon.
Pro tip, ask for the pilot position if you can. Because not to say that the other positions weren't good, but the pilot one is definitely the most interactive. So we did Smuggler's Run. We also did Star Tours, which shout out to that guy, whoever was operating our vehicle, because he said 6 times, your mask must be over your nose, must be on. You cannot take it off during the ride or I will stop the ride.
Yes. Let's come back to the protocols.
Well, that guy was great. I just wanted to give a shout out to that guy. So then we also did a couple of other rides. We did... Well,
let's talk about the Star Wars ride. So what did you think about...
Rise of the Resistance?
Rise of the Resistance.
First off, amazing walkthrough. Disney did a really good job of like building the hype when you're walking through the queues, because most oftentimes when you're waiting in line, it's like really boring, right? You're like playing on your phone. There's not too much to look at. They did a spectacular job with setting up the hype for this ride. And Rise of the Resistance met and exceeded expectations. I thought it was so amazing. I left the ride being like, holy cow, I want to do that 10 million more times.
Yeah, I agree. The walkthrough is unlike any other Disney ride they've ever created before. Like when you walk through this one like Battlestar area, and there's like how many stormtroopers are there like lined up?
Oh my gosh, there's like
dozens.
30 at least.
And so you're a prisoner walking through the spaceship, I guess, and they just do a really good job like creating that scene. And then the ride is you're in these trackless carts. So they'll move around and you kind of sync up with these other ones. And yeah, top-notch Disney World ride. One of the coolest rides that they've ever made.
Yeah, it's cool to see like technology evolve over rides. Like we're so used to like the track system, right? It's like very, very clear where you're going. Here, we had no clue where we were going. It's not very clear as to like, this is the direction. It's very much still a surprise. So I loved it every minute of it.
Yeah, it was super cool. I wish we got to ride it twice. We only got to ride it that one time, and then it was over, and we couldn't get back. We're not allowed to be back in the queue.
I will say first, the Galaxy's Edge, for as like busy it wasn't super crowded. It was still busy, but it wasn't, the max capacity we've seen some Disney parks sometimes. So it still felt busy, and we really didn't wait more. The most in line was like 60 minutes.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like Star Tours was maybe got up to like 15, 20 minutes.
Well, we also went to those in the beginning. So.
Yeah, that was in the morning.
So what about the crowds? Give me an overall feeling about, was it busy? Was it not busy?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the busiest I've seen it, 1 being the least, like dead empty, you have your own personal theme park, I would say it hits at like a 4.5.
Well, that's not big. That's not crowded at all.
No, and the reason I say that is because we landed our airplane, and then we specifically landed the airplane. We landed the airplane. And we got in, and we were there basically at rope drop. But Connor and I were so tired from a red-eye flight. We got like maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So what we did is we went early in the morning. We did our run through for some of our rides. And then we went back and took a nap. And so during like the hottest part of the day in Florida, especially with like the humidity. So we took a nap. We went back to the hotel, checked in. And then once we were all settled and I took a first shower, we went back and we did like kind of the evening half. And I think that's why I rated it as a 4.5, because like the heat was enough. So we probably went out at the busiest time and we were like, okay, let's take a break.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely missed that like crowded time. But in the morning, I mean, we almost walked onto Smuggler's Run.
Yeah.
And Star Tours. Those were like maybe 10-minute waits.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, we walked back on Smuggler's Run again. And walked on, and then we walked on the Toy Story ride twice also.
Oh yeah.
So like in the mornings and the evenings, it was really not crowded at all.
No.
But like in the afternoon, it was the Mickey Mouse ride. We waited for an hour. And
yeah.
so the other thing that we should mention about going there right now is at the time that we were in Disney World, they still had the 6-foot distance between groups or people, and so in order for all of the attractions and rides to accommodate the 6 foot, all the lines go way outside the normal lines. At Disneyland or Disney World are usually really good about making these long, weaving mazes of lines, but they would go outside into the courtyards or Yeah, I guess courtyards is the right way to say it.
Just
And
out in the open.
so the Slinky ride was like seemed like it wrapped around the park, and the Mickey Mouse ride pretty much took like the whole center courtyard of Hollywood Studios to manage their queue and their line.
But it was out in the open.
Yes, and so
No
they
umbrellas.
had
Well,
they had
umbrellas.
umbrellas out, so they created some shade and they had some fans. But pretty much that hour for Mickey Mouse, we were out in the sun, and that just wrecked me. So that was one of the hardest parts. Was it was 97 degrees outside with like 100% humidity, so it was really tough. But otherwise felt pretty safe.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Like a 6.
Oh, you rated it much
Yeah,
busier than I did.
it was still the Slinky ride was an 80-minute wait for a majority of the day.
True. The Slinky roller coaster, yeah.
And Mickey Mouse was at least an hour.
Yeah.
And the other ones we rode before it got crowded, so we didn't really even see what those lines were.
That's fair.
But I would say anytime you're waiting on the two other rides for over an hour, it's still decently crowded.
I will say we are like Disney veterans. We've gone to these parks many times. We usually take a cooling towel. So it's one of those like towels that you run it underwater and it stays cool for a really long time. I think it's called Froggy Togs, maybe. So we brought that and that helped kind of cool you down a little bit. And then we also bought ourselves like a little personal neck fan, which you get on Amazon for like $20. And that helped, I think, a little bit. So that took off a little bit of the edge, but it was still, I mean, we went on a day that was like 97 degrees, very, very humid. So it wasn't just us, it was like everyone around us was melting. And so I think that also helped like clear out in the like end of the day, is because everyone was so tired. Like people usually go from rope drop to close to fireworks, right? And you can't do that with 97. It's just too hot.
Well, the hardest part about Disney World right now is masks are required. And as Amanda alluded to earlier, like they were very, very strict about wearing the mask, which was nice because we felt very safe while we were at the park. And I would say mask obedience was oddly high. Yeah. Like I very much didn't expect it to everyone be so obedient with their mask wearing, but the Disney World employees like
they were on you.
Deserve a round of applause because they from the photographers to just the people working all the lines, like reminding everybody that the mask needs to be above your nose. It needs to be on at all times. They will stop the ride. There are signs all over the park that you will be asked to leave the park if you're wearing inappropriate style of mask or wearing it in inappropriate ways.
They were turning people away like that doesn't work. You can't wear that mask. So just shout out to the cast members. That's a hard job, and we saw a couple of very hard conversations, and we really like have a lot of empathy because that's not an easy conversation to have, and you're just trying to do your job, and I'm sure these people are just trying to also have a vacation, and they're not making your job any easier. So shout out to you.
But what I was saying about the mask is with the humidity, it's just so hot to wear the mask.
Oh gosh!
When you're in the sun and there's no clouds and there's no shade, and it's that humid outside and you're breathing in this thing, it just makes it so hot. For the men, highly recommend, if they still have the mask mandate, make sure you shave your face.
Shave your face.
Yeah, shave your face. And Amanda brought these disposable masks, and she went through a couple of them that day.
Yeah, you just kind of sweat through them, and you don't want to wear them anymore.
Really hot, so really miserable.
You just want to throw those away. We bought a pack of like KN95 masks that were just, they're the foldable ones, so I can put it in my pocket, and I can also like feel like I'm not having a cloth mask like directly on my lips and face. And I also bought ear savers. Because like this hurts, right? When you have a mask behind your ears for 8 to 10 hours a day, that's not comfortable. So we bought these little like cloth elastic button up ear savers to help take some of the pressure off.
Yeah, but wearing the masks, I haven't had any problem with it at all over the past year.
Yeah.
This was the most problem I had with it.
Hot.
It was just like,
it was hot.
It made the experience at Disney World a lot more miserable. Mm-hmm. Just being in the heat and melting and sweating through these masks. I would say it was the only downside to the trip. Mm-hmm. And as summer gets, because we're only in May, as people go in June, July, and August, if they still have a mask mandate, be prepared because it's just not.
It's just gonna be
easy.
Toasty.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's common for people to like you can take a drink or
pull over to the side
and take
your mask off.
Pull over to the side, and that's common as well. But let's talk about Universal.
Yeah, so the following day we went to Universal to go to Harry Potter World. And it was a very different experience for us.
Very different. So we decided that we were very tired and we were going to sleep in a bit. And we've been to Universal many times. There was a couple of rides that we haven't been on. So we're like, okay, let's just take it easier tomorrow because we're like, our feet are exhausted. I think we logged like 20,000 plus steps that day from Disney World. So we were like, okay, let's just take a break. So we went a little later in the day and we walk in and it's immediately like when you pass kind of City Walk where all the shops and like out there downtown Disney, it's called City Walk, and you can already tell there's different masks that are considered okay by Universal.
Yeah,
bandanas are okay. Open scarf ones, I don't know if that's like a technical term, but open scarf masks are okay. So you can already tell that there's more lax rules at Universal for masks. And there was not a lot of Universal staff enforcement of wearing masks. So that was just walking in. So we were like, okay, this is interesting. Let's just keep an eye on this. So we decided to beeline it to a ride that we've never been on before. It's called Fast and Furious. And it had a 15-minute wait. So we're like, great, let's go through it. First off, we go through, it's a really cool intro where it's got like Toretto's car. Is this name Toretto?
Yes.
Vin Diesel's cars. It's like you're in the garage, in the warehouse. You feel like you're part of the crew. And then it turns out to be the lamest 2-minute ride. And like, I'm talking like a 5-second ride.
It was like 60 seconds.
Barely a storyline. It's just one of those like, this was, yeah.
Well, it's like that whole ending scene from it's like, that's like a scene from the movie they take you through.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't know. It was one of those that I was like, come on. But they have like big names. They have like Ludacris is in there, Tyrese is in there,
The Rock is
all
the
there,
people are in there.
Luke, what's his face is in there. So all like the big people, Vin Diesel, obviously, and Michelle, what's her name, is also in there. So there's like big names in it and you're like expecting it, you're like hyping it up, you're like, whoa, this is gonna be amazing, all these cool players, and then it just ends and you're like, oh, we're done. Oh, get off the ride. Oh, okay, go now. So that was a letdown. But as we exited, it was dumping. And if you have been to Florida before, you understand what Florida rain is like. It is buckets upon buckets. There's nothing you can do. Everything is going to get wet unless you bought one of those like $20 plastic ponchos. So we're from Washington. We brought our rain jackets because we saw the forecast. So luckily we put on our rain jackets, but that did not save our shoes. Our shoes and our socks were soaking wet. They are so gross. So we trudged through to go to Hogwarts, and yeah, just with the mask compliance was lacking.
Yeah, I shared one photo on my Instagram, and the guy behind me has no mask on.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
Just no cares.
I mean, there were some employees like telling people like pull up your mask, but more or less like saw a lot of what we describe as chin diapers.
Yeah, you just wear it down here.
A lot of people just wearing their mask over their chins. Lots of noses exposed.
Lots of people who just like didn't care.
Yeah, lots of people who didn't care, and there just wasn't as strict enforcement. And at the end of the day, certainly it solidified our feelings about how we felt about going to Disney World and Disney World feeling safe. And I did this big story about answering questions about, I was surprised that I felt so safe, and just like everyone were following the rules at Disney World. And then you see at Universal, it was just a very different environment.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, they changed, I'm not sure if it was in the state, but they changed the rule from 6 feet at Disney World, and it was only a 3-foot distance requirement at Universal. So like we were trying to get on the trolley to go between parks in Harry Potter World, and you're seeing the video right now, like this room is just packed with people, and pretty much like 3 feet between groups is like kind of the standard distance that is like what people stand
normally in line.
Normally in line. And so it was it just was back to normal. There was no social distancing whatsoever. And then it was funny because we spent an hour waiting on this line to get on the 4-minute train. Oh. And when they walk us up to the train and they put us in the lines, they staggered the line. So if you were in row 1, you were at the front. If you were in row 2, you're at the back. 3 in the front, 4 in the back.
But it was like, it's too late. I just became best friends with the people behind me and the people in front of me. Like, we're already in each other's bubble.
But I think that was a blend between they went to the 3 foot minimums or 3 foot distance in the line, and they were still following the rules. They've probably been running for months.
Yeah.
Actually, where the employees are like scattering people, and so it was just funny. It was like, I've been standing around all of these people within a non-safe distance for the last hour, so that's not really making any difference.
Well, also what's interesting is that we saw family groups at Disney World common. What's interesting is that there were actual like school groups, like there was a fifth grade field trip,
senior trips.
There was a senior trip. There was a fifth grade field trip specifically sticking in my brain because we went on the King Kong ride. Connor's never been, I have. And this fifth grader just kept running into Connor, and his backpack just kept making contact with him.
After a year of like very minimal contact with people in general, to be in a line for 30 minutes and have this little kid bump into me,
you're just
well over a dozen times, was a new feeling.
Yeah, and he's a fifth grader, right? He doesn't know. He's in his
touching
own
everything
world
and exploring and
and just you could tell like the dad behind him was also kind of like, whatever, buddy, we're at a theme park. But it was just kind of one of those things like, we're coming from an area that's very, very specific about their mask mandates and social distancing and kind of things like that. But it was just interesting to go to a place where it's like not the Wild West, but kind of the Wild West.
Yeah, so, it was just a lot more lax at Universal than it was in Disney World, and that trip certainly solidified it.
Well, and Galaxy's Edge was like so cool because it was so new, and like we had just finished watching like some of the I watched some of the Star Wars movies on the plane, and just it was just so cool.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about this, but at Star Wars Galaxy Edge, we got a reservation to build a droid. So Connor got to build a droid.
Yes, and so going back to the Galaxy's Edge, probably the best part about the whole park is building the droid, in my opinion. And so this is our droid, our newest member of our family. We have named him CC8, sibling to BB8, and CC are my initials. And it's so cool. You get to like pick all the pieces. Obviously got a head, it's got a remote control, it rolls around, and it's got little noises and everything. And just you get to pick all the parts. So you get to pick the color. They have options here, options of the lower ball. And
Connor had like serious analysis paralysis
choosing
all the options.
It was not easy.
He was just like, this is a permanent decision. Which one do I choose?
Yeah, CCA, he's a part of our family now.
I know.
So I'm sure you'll see this in the background of a lot of my videos or my Zooms moving here on forward. And so
I want him to chime in with
they
his
have
little
purple
chirps.
and orange and white, and there's like, what colors do I want to do? You don't want to mix it up. You want it to look different. I didn't want it to be a BB-8. It was decision paralysis.
Yeah, you were sitting there. You're like, I can't make a decision. I was like, well, this one looks really cool.
Yeah. So it was $100 to build. We were probably in there for 30, 45 minutes to build it all.
Yeah, very good.
They have people there help you put all the parts together and everything. And you get to see how it actually works. How does this thing roll and the head stick here? It's just really cool to see the mechanism inside this ball. You can check that out somewhere else on YouTube if you want to see how he actually works, but how the head stays at the top when the ball rolls around is really cool. And it's just fun to see something like that. I think this is one of the coolest things that Disney has ever put together as far as an experience for people visiting. And they put it in this it's the best Build-A-Bear, most expensive Build-A-Bear I've ever done. The box is just like Build-A-Bear. And
it's an electronic Build-A-Bear.
Yeah.
I'm not done gushing about Disney World and Galaxy's Edge. There's a couple of things. One, all of the cast members in Galaxy's Edge were very much in character. Their talk, everything you bought was in credits. None of it was in dollars. They're that will be 103.26 credits or whatever.
Yeah.
They were very much in character. They were always joking with us.
Yeah, the one guy wanted us to bribe him.
Yeah, we were a little late to our droid building appointment, and he was like, "It's gonna be 150 credits, and and then I'll let you in, and it's a late fee." And then luckily, because of my face, you could tell I was just like, "Wait, what?" And the girl was just like, "Wait, no! Why are you trying to blackmail them for some credits and blah blah?" So it was really fun. and really surprised about the efficiency and the quickness and the taste of the food there. We had an amazing salad that we wanted something like kind of light. We ordered a salad from the Bay something restaurant. We did it on mobile order. It's very fast. It was like 20 minutes maybe tops. And it was actually really, really good. So we recommend if you eat there that you should eat there. It's really good.
Yeah, the food was very impressive for it. And I felt like it was affordable, right? Coming from a major city where you pay for a $13 entree. That's not like a shocker for us.
Or a $13 salad, period. But, and I will say it's a very well organized system. You have your pickup, takeout time. You go in, you pick up your food. They assign you a table. You leave all your stuff there. They'll clean it all down for you, and then you leave. So well organized system. Plenty of places for people to eat if you wanted to eat in AC, which was nice because we get to eat in AC.
Yeah, so you're always seeking out the AC when you're there. All right, a couple questions about your trip to. We'll do for both of them, right?
Okay.
So, what was your favorite thing at Disney World Hollywood Studios?
Oh no. Rise of the Resistance. It was so cool. It was one of those like really jaw-dropping, well done experiences that just puts you right in that world. So. All
right. I was going to ask her what the best ride was, but she just answered that. My favorite thing was definitely building the droid.
Oh yeah.
But just Galaxy's Edge, the design and the aesthetic and all of the detail of it was super cool. And we didn't really when we were melting and it was really hot outside. We didn't appreciate it, but when we went back in the evening and the sun was going down and the park was closing, when we were walking from the back to the front to leave, spent just more time admiring all of the details and all the droids that were around and all of the ships, the rocks, the plants,
the noises, right? Yeah. Even just the atmosphere, they had these sound effects that were making it seem like you were really in a docking bay. And it was just really cool. It was well done.
What was the weirdest thing you saw at Disney World?
I saw a ton of kids that you're just kind of like, oh man. But I would say the weirdest thing is this kid who was just rolling around on the floor and his mom is just whatever, dude. Whatever.
We had this family who we just kind of assumed they're from Alabama. We don't know where in the South they were. They're on Mickey Mouse and they were right behind us for an entire hour. And they talked the entire hour, and I didn't understand a single word they said the entire time. We tried
so intently.
I wanted to know what they were talking about, and they just had thick accents, and I couldn't understand what they were talking about.
It was so charming, honestly, the accent. You're just this is so cute to we shouldn't be listening to other people's conversations.
That happens at Disney World, though. The other thing with accents was the park, there are no foreign tourists there, which was very noticeable. It was clearly only Americans at the park.
Yeah.
Like we said, it was very, very Walmart-esque. When you go to Walmart, you see all different types of people.
All different walks of life.
But because of all the travel restrictions, it was very obvious that it was all mostly American people. And
all domestic travelers.
All domestic travelers. And how many people told us that they're vaccinated was very very
so
nice. How many lines you're standing in where you'd be melting in the sun and there was a flag an umbrella where 3 groups would want to huddle under the umbrella, and so many people were just I'm vaccinated, I'm totally fine if you come and hang under the umbrella with me. Or how many elevators that we get in, and we said it to people where they would be I'm vaccinated, I totally don't mind sharing an elevator with another group of people.
And what's really nice?
That was great.
What's really nice, so I just remembered this, there's a world of dance cheer competition going on while we were there. And even those girls who are there to compete and dance and be there just for their teammates and enjoy the theme park, were also very stringent about I don't feel comfortable sharing an elevator. They said it out loud. They were I feel comfortable sharing an elevator. I don't. And they just made their preferences known, but they were taking their position there very seriously.
I have opposite feeling you. We saw one girl not want to get in an elevator. We also saw another elevator girls who weren't wearing a mask. So
That's true. I forgot about that.
It goes both ways. All right. What about Universal? What was your favorite part about going to Universal?
My favorite part will always and forever be going to the Harry Potter world. I think it's just brings a sentimental feeling back. And my favorite part about, honestly, Harry Potter is that ice cream shop. You gotta go get that clotted cream ice cream. It's so good.
I don't know if we have a picture of that, do we?
No, I ate it way too fast, honestly. I ate it way, and you get into a waffle cone. That will lead to my weirdest thing.
Yeah. For me, favorite thing at Universal is the Hulk ride. The Hulk roller coaster. Amanda didn't want to ride the roller coaster.
Nope.
And so it was the end of the day. So I went on by myself. And a lot of times with roller coasters, which they don't have on many of the rides, they have like a single rider.
Yeah.
And so the line was only like 20 minutes long. But I went straight through the single rider and went straight on the ride. Like, walk straight through. They make sure you check your bags. I didn't have my bag. And I got on the ride because you were filming. You were sitting on the bridge trying to see me.
Yeah, I got a slow-mo.
You guys are seeing the slow-mo right now. She was just filming all the carts to see which one it was. If it would have been 20 minutes, it would have been a lot of carts. But from the time that I left you and the time I got back, there was only 5 carts that had gone through. Like, I was so quickly on the ride and so quickly back.
Honestly, it felt like he just ran to the restroom. It was that quick.
Yeah, it was very fast.
It was that quick. That's your favorite part?
Yeah, that was probably my favorite part.
I'm glad I forced you to go because I was like, I already feel bad that I'm not a roller coaster person, but like, get on in there, baby.
I feel like we like squeezed that one in because it happened so fast.
Yeah. Weird thing. I was eating this ice cream cone and I'm sitting on the steps enjoying my ice cream. I thought I took one small bite of a waffle cone. I haven't had a waffle cone in like years. And this thing crumbles and shatters all over my phone. And it was just one of those like slow-mo, like, no. And I was just laughing to myself, just how ridiculous. I would love to see the person who watched me do that and just watch the slow-mo shatter of a waffle cone over my phone.
I was dying. I just watched her like take this bite and it crumbled all over the place. That was probably the funniest thing that I saw during the whole trip as well. This is part of my beef of the week with Universal is they have all these lockers. To go on almost all the rides, they require you to take your backpacks and your cell phones or whatever and put them in a locker. And they offer a free locker if it's like a small locker. So if you have a wallet and a cell phone,
or
you put that in there, or a fanny pack. But if you have a backpack, which most people when they come to these kind of trips have, you have to pay $2 per ride to rent the locker. And my beef of the week is with Universal that they don't bundle in like you should give us 2 free like if we have to scan the cars to get in, like when you buy $180 ticket, like, and then they're gonna squeeze you for $2 extra per ride. My beef of the week with Universal is definitely those $2 fees. Like,
well, and then
they
also add on like you can't just request fast pass, you have to buy the express pass, so that's another $100, right? And then you gotta do, it's always just like small amounts of money. Like Universal, you're like, I understand Universal's a business, but you're like, man, if you could have just bundled it, I would have been happier, right? I don't want to keep paying and paying and paying and paying and paying and paying and paying. So, my beef of the week has nothing to do with any of those theme parks.
It has to do with the greater Florida area.
The greater Florida area. What in the mother business is going on with no-see-ums?
What are no-see-ums? I don't think a lot of people know what no-see-ums are. If you
have never been here or you don't know what a no-see-um is, a no-see-um is a bug that is comprised of 400 different types of species.
No, I think it's 250.
No, it's 400.
Okay.
400 different types of no-see-ums, and they are worse than mosquito bites. Like, I'm talking just the absolute worst. We came to my parents' house. We were outside maybe 30 minutes. I have over 15 bites on my entire body of just my arms and my calves and my ankles. All the worst places you can get bug bites. And if you look this up, mosquito bites typically last like 3 to 5 days of irritants and then it's gone. No-see-ums will last up to 2 weeks. And there is not a bug spray. If you don't cover your entire body in whatever my parents have, like that silk stuff, it is going to find that one spot you missed and take 3 bites out of you in 3 different spots, and then you're gonna have you'll have an Orion's belt of no-see-um bites on your arm. Thank goodness for Benadryl topical.
Yeah, Amanda has been bit a lot by these bugs.
Itching.
And I've been bit a decent amount, but not nearly as much as you. We have a ton of bug bites, and I don't blame you for that being the beef of the week because these bugs are brutal. We don't have a lot of bugs in Seattle. We're very lucky with the cold weather,
Yes, it's
and just like the constantly changing
Blessed.
weather. We're very lucky that we don't have these bugs, and you kind of forget like that all of these things that bite you and eat you all the time are around. I don't know how people live here and deal with that. It's absolutely miserable.
And then my parents have lived here for a few years now, and they say that you just build up a tolerance, so it doesn't. You get bit still, but it doesn't bother you.
Yep.
But there's still 250 to 400 different varieties of no-see-ums, and they are awful, and I want to just murder them all. But I guess dragonflies eat them. So I told my dad, I was like, I'm gonna order dragonflies and release them in this area because this is insane how many no-see-ums were here. So that's my beef.
All right, final part of the episode, everyone's favorite part of the episode, shit my mom says.
We're at my mom's house. Also my dad's house. It's not just one or the other. It's both of their houses.
Yes.
Equal. And there's no shit my mom says.
We can't shit on them today.
Because it's Mother's Day. So Mom, happy Mother's Day. Thank you for letting us come bombard and invade your home and feeding us 4 to 7 meals every single day and making sure we're fed. We love you so much. Also, happy Mother's Day
to my mom, too.
to Mary as well.
Did I say happy birthday or did I say happy Mother's Day?
You said happy birthday, and I was really confused because I was like, I don't think it's her birthday.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's
to both
Day
my mom and to Pam.
To Mary and Pam. We love you both. And
happy Mother's Day to all of you that are watching. If there's any mothers out there who are watching our show, thank you very much. And thanks for being moms.
Yeah, you take your kids to Disney World and Universal. And man, I can't imagine taking kids to... Woof.
Oh yeah, there was that mom, we were eating that ice cream cone, and she offered to give her kids to us.
She goes, "You guys want 4 kids? I've got 4 of them."
Yeah, she did not want to deal with them anymore at the park.
They seem great. They look very nice. I would take them off their hands.
She didn't seem too happy about them, but shout out to her and her Mother's Day as well. I hope it got better for her.
But thanks to all the moms out there, and for those that are acting moms or surrogate moms, we love you too. So thank you for all that you do.
And that concludes this episode of Dim Sum Days here at the Find Me in Seattle podcast. Thank you for watching the show. We have another special episode next week because we got even more life changes happening in our life that we will share with you. You can follow her at Amandazing21 on Instagram. I'm at Find Me in Seattle on Instagram. And if you have any questions about going to Disney World or going to Universal or going to Orlando, please let us know. We're happy to answer any of your questions. If you like this episode, you like the show, please subscribe, review, rate, share, comment, all those good things that help Amanda and I continue to create more shows for you. And we'll see you next week.
This is like my version of Men in Blazers Turn Off the Lights.
Yeah.